Hello everyone out there on YouTube, friends and subscribers. Colonel Wisdom here. This is going to be a part 2 of sorts to my response to Dramabitchespolitics and a debate we were having a couple of weeks ago. I meant to get on it sooner, but as you all know, I got sidetracked by some drama and also by some offline responsibilities. But now I think I'm ready to get back into the swing of things and put all that behind me and respond to Dramabitch's response to me. She uploaded a video response that I've accepted, where she was referencing this research book about women in prison and her opinions on prison reform, which I have to admit I never really considered. I do think, even though I don't entirely agree with her, and I think because she's Canadian, that the socio-political landscape that she's accustomed to is much more leftist and liberal than what I would deem ideal. Even so, I think that she did bring up some good points that are worth considering, and I'm going to address those first, then at the end get to where I had a disagreement. So she mentioned, she had mentioned that that prison is a lot of times Western prison or American prison seems to be so fixated on punishment and consequences and giving one their comeuppance and instant karma instead of rehabilitation, when it needs to be about when rehabilitation does need to be in the picture, unless the person is a serial killer or something, and you just want to you just intend for them to die in prison alone. But if it's for another crime, or if it's for a manslaughter thing, or some crime that doesn't constitute life in prison, then you're going to want to focus more on rehabilitating the people and turning them and molding them into productive and efficient members of society, and also safe members of society once you let them back out. And that was something that I never really considered. I think is a fair point, and that maybe our justice system could use some reforming, because in fact this kind of ties into the question I was kind of like asking her in private messages, when she was mentioning that that over the years more women have been incarcerated. No, increasingly more women are getting incarcerated, and more black people are getting incarcerated, and more black women are getting incarcerated, and how she correlated that to women being victims of domestic violence. And the problem that I had with this theory of hers, which I was trying to get to in my last video, but I was uploading it at a time when I was kind of tired and not really in the mood or motivated. But what I was trying to get to was, that I told her in the comment section, is you can't, that theory, that argument is flawed and is very much invalid, because people go to prison for prolonged periods of time for crimes other than murder, or for crimes other than violence. You have women who steal. You have women who commit violence against children. You have women who commit fraud or larceny, or just women who just they don't have their finances in order somehow, or tax evasion, or bills not being paid, like car notes or something, like it's just such a myriad of a lot of things. And this is why I hate it when people look at the statistics of black Americans in prison and go, oh, well, there's a proof right there that they're more violent. No, there's crimes that you could commit that have nothing to do with murder or violence, that a lot of people, regardless of their gender and their race and demo or whatever they commit, but you're still just counting them as a statistic, saying this reflects the violence in this group of people, or the murderous blood in this group of people. No, that argument is such a fail, and it irritates me. And I was thinking, maybe an element of prison reform could be that we separate our prisons from the murderers to like the thieves, or other people, or just separate the prisons, like they don't have a murderer next to a petty thief, or even like a moderately successful thief, or even like a museum robber or a bank robber. That doesn't seem very fair, I guess. So I guess that was a little bit of insight that she gave me that was worth considering. But I really strongly beg to differ with what she had to say when she was talking about domestic violence victims who murdered their husbands or murdered their live-in boyfriends. How the concept of punishing them so harshly isn't very productive, and it isn't very fair, because this is a person who tried to escape from their oppressor, and then we're going to oppress them even more. With all due respect, Drama, I find such a notion, or such a concept, to be egregiously unacceptable, and very sickening, actually. And no offense, by the way, because third wave feminism tends to beat this in the head of teenagers, and to the point where people just accept it because they're sort of not like really looking at the bigger picture. But anyway, I'll tell you why I find this notion so completely sickening. Relationships are voluntary. All relationships, like amorous relationships, whether it's marriage or whether it's just a live-in boyfriend, girlfriend, or just lovers, they are all voluntary. The man is voluntary his time, and investing his time, his energy, possibly his money, and the same goes for the woman. That's not oppression. American slavery was oppression. The Holocaust was a byproduct of oppression. Colonialism is oppression. Imperialism is oppression. This is why people have a problem with a second and third wave feminism. Not first wave feminism, mind you. Nobody has a problem with women working, or women being allowed to inherit property or own property, or just to be able to just have their own. Nobody's against that. That they're against is the fact that feminism is about like female self-interest above all else, above everything else, including children, including society as a whole, and above basic logic, because all relationships are voluntary, including the abusive ones, including the pathological ones. You have women out here who choose to be involved with men who have some pathological ways or some abusive ways, and they tolerate it for their own ulterior motive, usually for hypergamous reasons. Usually they'll stay with this man because of his resources, or they'll stay with this man because they see his sexual power. I have trouble with that word. They enjoy having sex with him, or they enjoy his company when he's not being a douchebag. And this does not excuse the assault, because that's what it is. Domestic violence is assault. It is not oppression. It is assault, and it is punishable by law. But what isn't punishable from assault, what isn't a reasonable reaction to assault, is vigilantism and murder. That is not reasonable. That is not justice. And like I said, that is a big difference between killing somebody from self-defense. If they're coming at you with a knife and you blow their brains out, that is not the same thing as battered wife syndrome. Battered wife syndrome is when a wife, any type of battered wife, they just chose to put up with abuse for whatever reason, be it an ulterior motive, be it because of their own stupidity, but they made that choice. They weren't being oppressed. They weren't forced into it, because to oppress somebody, you have to have power over them. And in most modern day marriages or modern day relationships, the woman works as well. If she's not working, then something is wrong with her, and that speaks to her character, that she's going to tolerate abuse with the guy just because he's a meal ticket and she doesn't have to go to work. That speaks poorly of her character as well, and that is the polar opposite of what feminism was originally about. But a lot of second and third wave feminists don't want to acknowledge this fact. They would just rather constantly put the woman in the victim light, or in the light where she's innocent and helpless and cannot defend herself. Like there's no way, like there's no laws that protect women, and that's intellectually dishonest. But getting back to what other things that you said in your video, you mentioned how our media tends to see white women as being more innocent and pure than black women, and how if Casey Anthony was a black woman, she would have gotten the book thrown at her. Yes, I totally agree with you, and that is unfortunate. That is unfortunate that our media is like this, but we have to remember that it's human nature to look out for your own and to look out for number one. And in America, since whites dominate this country, they're going to look out for themselves first and foremost. And I'm not saying that's okay or that they should do that, but that's just the reality of the situation. And if you're aware of that reality, we as black people have to learn to look out for ourselves too, and to look out for our own, instead of just looking at other races to uplift us or to validate us, because it's just not going to happen. That's just not human nature. But anyway, good video. But yeah, I think in regards to the whole domestic violence victims being punished sort of a deal, I think that's something that we just won't see eye to eye on. I do think that as I said, you brought up a good point about prison rehabilitation. Prison. What's the word I'm looking for? Prison reform, and prisons focusing more on rehabilitation instead of comeuppance and karma. That was something to consider. But I still am not down with the whole battered wife syndrome thing, for the reasons that I said. I might go check out your video titled Matriarchy versus Patriarchy, because it sounded interesting. But for right now, I just wanted to focus on that one thing so I could get this done and uploaded. Thank you for the video response, and thank you for viewing and listening. Kernel of Wisdom out. See you soon, guys.